This is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Haralambous.
Coming up on this week's programme, why do we have a water crisis when there is water in the north that we're entitled to?
Why we don't have water security? It's been several years, more than 30 years of bad water policies and management. Why don't we just use the 10 million cubic meters per year that are produced from the sewage plant of Nicosia?
And upcoming this weekend, the Spring Akrotiri Festival.
Not only for families, but also for the general public and individuals who would like to get to know more about this habitat.
Banner headlines in our press last week: no risk of water cuts this summer. Well, a lot of people may have thought, brilliant news. My first thought was, come on guys, we've been saying this on and off since I came to Cyprus in the mid-70s, and the fact that the United Arab Emirates have promised us some desalination plants really doesn't solve a long-term problem. So I've asked civil coastal engineer Xenia Loizidou to join me on the programme. Xenia, you've worked not just with coastal waters, but with the environment in general and water issues for many, many years. What did you make of this sudden hands up in the air, and aren't we lucky we've got rescued by the UAE? It might get us through one summer. Why aren't we dealing with this problem from the ground up, which is what we should have done, I think, 30 or 40 years ago?
As you said, I'm a hydraulic engineer, so I'm working with coastal and inland waters. No, United Arab Emirates will not save us for the summer because obviously these 15 desalination plants will not arrive before the end of the summer in Cyprus, or even if they arrive before the end of the summer, there will not be enough time to construct the infrastructure. I mean, when I'm talking about desalination plants, we should keep in mind that each of them is something like 2 containers. So we're talking about huge machines that need to have a proper installation, need to have the proper infrastructure with pipelines to be connected to the network. We need to have proper pipelines to take the brine in deep waters, so we will not have all this salt from the desalination in our coastal waters, etc., etc. And of course, they are not for free, because all the cost of the infrastructure and the installation, the operation, will be on us, on the Cyprus taxpayer.
Yes, it will be, but let's talk a bit first about those pipes you were talking about, because my first thought was exactly that. Okay, suppose you've got all these desalination units. Where are you going to connect them, and to what? For whom?
Yes, but let's just discuss this hypothesis that these desalination plants will solve our problem. As far as I read from the newspapers, each of these desalination plants has the capacity to produce 1,100 cubic meters water per day. If you do the math, and believe me, I did, this is about 5.5 million cubic meters per year. So this is all about our water shortage. We're talking about 5.5 million cubic meters per year that will solve the problem. If this is so, we have the Miamilia waste treatment plant, which produces something like 10 million cubic meters per year. And because it is in the occupied area, we as Republic of Cyprus, we don't take it. We could use this 10 million cubic meters of water, treated water, and it is a tertiary, third-degree treatment. So this is a pure, clean water to be used for irrigation, but we don't use it, we don't take it, although this is water that comes from the sewage plant of Nicosia. So we are paying for our sewage to go to Miamilia to be treated. The ultimate treatment, that is the tertiary treatment, we have clean water for irrigation, 10 million cubic meters per year, and we are not using them. So it doesn't make sense.
We should make clear for anybody listening to this who isn't familiar with Cyprus that we're not using it because Miamilia is in the occupied areas.
Yes.
So we don't want to take the water that would solve our problem because it's in the hands at the moment of the occupying forces.
If we accept that our problem is 5.5 million cubic meters of water, because this is what will be the production from these 15 desalination plants.
Eventually, after we've connected them to all the pipelines.
After an even whatever, yes, exactly. So if we connect them and put them in the network, this is the production that we will have from these 15 desalination plants. So why don't we just use the 10 million cubic meters per year that are produced from the sewage plant of Nicosia? And this sewage plant, as I said, is the plant that treats our waste, our sewage. The Nicosia Sewage Board is paying to the manager of this sewage plant, of Miamilia sewage plant, to treat our sewage. So we are entitled to use this water. It comes from us.
I seem to remember that that's the sewage plant that was unveiled and started with much fanfare a few years ago, and joint Nicosia municipalities and mayors having a lot to say about it. I think it was with EU money, and everybody was cock-a-hoop and said, this is brilliant, look at the way we're dealing with each other. Well, I can't understand, if that was the case, why we're suddenly saying, but we don't want the water that's coming out of it.
It's been years that we are fighting with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We cannot also understand why. So what it said is that the cost to bring it to the Republic is high, but it's not really high. There is a study. It's about 12 million euros are required to make the infrastructure so we can have the pipelines to bring this water back to the Republic and join the existing network. But this is a very small amount if you consider that 60 or 70% of this will be covered by EU. So it is a very, very important question why we just don't go and use it.
Well, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, aren't we, basically? But let me ask you as well about the long-term outlook, because apart from the disaster of the dam that had to be emptied of I don't know how many million cubic meters of water when there was a leak, we do have more dams, I think, in Cyprus than pretty well anywhere else in the EU, and most of them are very close to being totally dry. Now, if we carry on with the rainfall that we've got or not got at the moment, what's the long-term outlook for our water supplies?
Yes, we should consider that we are a hotspot of climate change, Mediterranean and especially Eastern Mediterranean. But this is not news. We know this since 90s. So what we keep saying that the climate should be a parameter of design of the national strategies for the natural resources as water. But what we see now is that we are reaching crisis in everything. We are called to do crisis management in energy because we don't have the infrastructure that we should have since 2010. And we had the funding from European Union to do the infrastructure for energy, for batteries, but we don't. So we produce energy from renewables and we just air it. It's the same as we have now. It's not now. Every 3 years you have this problem, the water crisis. And we are now again at the stage to manage a crisis because we will not have water this summer. I cannot understand how a country that is called an over country is just dealing with contingency plans, risk management, crisis management. These are strategies, action plans that should be in place tens of years ago.
Oh, yes, certainly. All we've done is sticking plaster solutions, isn't it? And we all know sticking plasters come off when everything doesn't go according to plan.
But
So,
it is not sustainable, is it?
of course
It's not sustainable.
No, of course it's not. But then let me ask you as well. I mean, this is all really a problem of policy, I believe. Do correct me if I'm wrong, Ksenia. But here we are on an island with a shortage of water, and all we seem to ever hear about in the press and from the government and from all the ministers is how much better tourism is going this year, how many more golf courses we're building, how much the real estate sector, and especially all those luxury homes, are doing for our economy. Now, all of the people who live in any of those luxury homes, and don't let's forget the golf courses and how much water it takes to keep those green, and all the other things I've mentioned, it's all using up resources we don't have. As a housewife, if I'm running short of bread, I don't make bread-based meals for everybody for a week. I start hoarding it and trying to use less.
This is exactly as you described it. Since 2000, that we are shouting against golf courses, not because we have something for this sport which is called golf, but because in a country, 3 months per year we have temperatures over 40 and we don't have water. You don't promote development which is water-based. So the golf courses require about 3,000 cubic meters per week. So it's the water that could irrigate or water needed for a small city. So yes, this is water management, to identify the quantities that are available and the quantities that are needed, because shortage is a different issue than minimization of precipitation. Precipitation is getting lower and lower because of climate change, but not so extremely lower. From 1974 until 2015, there was 8% less minimization of precipitation. So the need for water have risen more than 50%. So it's a different thing to have less rain, and it's a different thing to have water shortage. So if we don't balance this, the availability of water, which is not only from rain, it's from sewage plants, it comes from desalination plants, but organizing a strategy, not just throw a firework, we are bringing 15 desalination plants and we have the solution for the problem. Water issue is vital for Cyprus. And it's not vital in 2025. It's been a vital problem since we know this island. We have, since ancient times, Cyprus is always an island with little water. That's it.
And does anybody know how fit for purpose our water supply system is in terms of leakages, for example?
Yes,
because that's another place that a lot of water just goes away, doesn't it?
Of course. We have the data, the regional authorities, the new ones. Just yesterday, they published this information. In some areas, it's up to 70%, 70. Can you imagine this? 70% of leakage. So if we consider that 60% of our water consumption goes to agriculture and 30% goes to households, we have the 70% of the 30% lost because of all the leakages in the system, the water supply system. It's crazy.
Is there any indication that anybody in the government is looking at this? I think it comes under the Agriculture Ministry for water, because the Water Development Department, I think, falls under their umbrella. But is there anybody else who should be looking at this and coordinating so that A, leaky pipes get fixed pronto, and B, there's a proper study of where the greatest need for water is and cutting it off from those things that are considered to be superfluous or luxury items?
I don't know this Rose, because the government does not give enough this kind of information to us, to the NGOs. What I know is that if the 60% of our water consumption goes to agriculture, this is an area that we could focus. For example, most of our lands are under desertification. We have more than 60% of our lands have been desertified, are desert. So they need more water for the irrigation. Instead, we should feed this land with organic material, which is compost, which was never done, to minimize the need for water.
Shouldn't we also be planting trees and shrubs that will keep the soil from eroding and maintain moisture in the soil?
Of course, as you say, and also focus and support cultivations that don't need much water. So all this could minimize this consumption significantly. There are more, as you said, to see where we still plant grass in our cities. We see the parks, the new Gatsby Square, the Eleftheria Square, everything we are doing as urban development or urban common places, they have grass. I mean, for God's sake, this should be prohibited. We should encourage our hotels to change their mindset and don't put grass in their gardens, but use our superb aromatics, our lavender, our rosemary, all these wonderful aromatics which don't need water, and don't plant grass. We are working as ACTI in Malta, and a lot of hotels really appreciated this advice and moved from grass to wood chips and aromatics. And they are thrilled because they save water, they save manpower, because grass needs a lot of curing, they save on pesticides, on this. So it's a win-win. Why don't we encourage our hotels to do this? Why don't we encourage our municipalities and prohibit them to have grass? As simple as that. As simple as that.
As long as they don't replace it with concrete, because so many urban areas, a brand new park or square opens and the whole thing is concrete with two trees.
Exactly, yes. Because, you know, what's happening with concrete? Concrete creates more needs for water, because concrete in our cities create what we say thermal islands. That means if we have a temperature of 4 degrees, with this concrete, temperature we feel is 45. So these are called thermal islands. So we need more water, and we cannot live in cities like this. So this is why we are shouting it in 20 years now. Give up concrete. Give up concrete. Leave ground so the earth can absorb the rain during winter or whenever, and we will have a healthy ground system, earth system. Also, our municipalities shouldn't be allowed to cut mature trees. Mature trees are called mother trees. That means that these mature trees have their root system is in a radius of about 100 meters, and in these 100 meters, with their roots, they create the conditions for other plants, other trees to grow. They cut the mature trees. So we have dead root system in the grounds of our cities. I feel pain when I am saying things like this.
Yeah, well, I do too. And I think the other thing that I don't suppose too many people are aware of is that you talk about the other organisms in the soil. I mean, mycota, do you call them? The mushrooms and all of that fungi that connects tree roots so they can talk to each other is absolutely essential. And we certainly don't have that under concrete, and I doubt we have it with dead tree roots, do we?
No, because these are parameters that are not taken under consideration when they are doing urban regeneration, for God's sake, urban regeneration with concrete. Also, something I would like to mention about this desalination plant. We have a crisis, so now we want to bring them and just put them to work, and no environmental considerations will be examined. But this is very, very alarming because all the desalination plants, the 15 that we are going to bring from the Emirates, and we don't know how many will be installed in the hotels, they have brine.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because that gets pumped out into the sea, and in any areas where we have the Posidonia seagrasses, that is murder, isn't it?
Of course, yes. So that's why the desalination plants that are already operating in Cyprus, they are under very strict conditions on the pipes that should use, and they do. They take this brine in very deep waters, more than 50 meters, and have specially designed systems to spread actually this brine so it will be dissolved within the seawater of deep seas. If this brine gets disposed in shallow waters, in coastal waters, then this will be a disaster because the brine which comes out of desalination plants is salt plus the chemicals that are used to actually to give us H2O water and send the salt away. So the brine includes chemicals and salt, and it's the feeling of it's like a syrup if you see it when it's coming out of the pipes. So if this salt syrup is not disposed in the correct distance, more than 50 meters water depth, then our coast will actually the biodiversity of our coastal areas will be destroyed, and this will gradually lead to the degradation of our beautiful coastlines.
Yeah, to our corals, and we have a few of those still, I hope, as well as those seagrasses, and of course the fish that live in the coastal waters as well.
The fish will be like salted herrings, but also the water that we swim, because we're talking about tourists, but we have tourists because we have these wonderful coastal areas. If we do something to jeopardize the quality of our seawater, then we can understand what are the consequences. So special care should be taken, and it's not like we are doing a solution because we don't have water to drink and that's it. Also, why we don't have water to drink? It's been several years, more than 30 years of bad water policies and management. But we are never there to say, this guy, this minister, 10 years ago should have done this and we're not done. So if we don't have liability of our politicians, then we are just chained and don't discuss about anything.
Well, I don't know how many agriculture ministers we've been through since I came here. I know it's probably at least 24, and I don't think any of them have properly addressed this problem. The only positive thing I could say, and a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek at the end, Ksenia, of our chat, is that, of course, if the tourists stop coming because we've wrecked not only the environment that we live in, but the coast as well, then we won't need so much water, will we?
Yes, but we should avoid this because tourism is a significant income for us.
I was joking, Ksenia, sort of joking, but it's not a very funny situation to be in. And no. I do wonder, and I hope, like you, I think that somebody somewhere is going to get a handle on this and realise that we need proper policy making across several departments. This isn't just one thing or another thing. We've talked about half a dozen things. They're all connected, and unless we join the dots, we're never going to solve the problem.
Exactly, as you say. And I would add, we should not wait to reach crisis. The solutions that we take when we're doing crisis management are never the correct ones. We are in an area of severe climate chaos. We are a hotspot of climate change. So all this should be addressed finally, eventually. We don't have time. And we should have the proper strategies and policies and action plans in place and implemented yesterday.
Quite so. That is Xenia Loizidou, civil coastal engineer, talking to us about this cock-a-hoop headline we've been reading over the last few days. No risk of water cuts this summer. And if you've listened to the whole of our chat, you will know that wherever possible, please save water, don't hose the pavements, and don't grow plants that are very thirsty. Xenia, many thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
This is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Haralambous.
Coming up on Sunday, there's the Akrotiri Spring Festival. It's organised by BirdLife Cyprus and Terra Cypria, and we're going to talk now from BirdLife Cyprus to Christia Alexandrou, who's going to tell us what's going to be going on. Christia, it's something you do regularly, I think, particularly springtime, because that, of course, particularly for birds, is a very good time for people to get to know our biodiversity. Tell us what the Spring Festival is all about.
Yeah, that's correct. It's the third year in a row that we are organizing this celebration of nature and celebration of Akrotiri Peninsula, which is one of the most important habitats we have in Cyprus for birds, but also for the rest of wildlife and biodiversity. So what it's all about, it's actually a family-friendly event to celebrate the treasures, both natural and cultural, of these unique habitats, the Akrotiri Peninsula. The event will take place on Sunday, the 4th of May. It will be a morning event till noon, full of fun and engaging activities, not only for family, but also for the general public and individuals who would like to get to know more about this habitat.
So you have bird ringing. I know that's a very popular event,
Yeah.
but you've also got quite a lot of other craft things. Tell me a bit about the basket weaving and the sand and its mysteries.
Yeah, we have, we start with the bird ringing, of course, which is a unique opportunity to observe from very closely different kinds of birds. It's open to everyone can attend, not only families. Then we have many hands-on experiential workshops for children to get to know more about the Akrotiri. So they will observe different kind of sands from different beaches and coastlines. We have a hands-on activity to find more about dragonflies as well. We'll do a nest building workshop. We will build our own wooden nest boxes for garden birds. Of course, we have lots of craft activities for children, fun board games about vultures, about pollinators as well. And of course, we have a basket weaving workshop, which is also open for everyone, both adults and children.
I think that, can I interrupt? I think that particularly the things for children, and I see that starting from age 5 up, so there's something for everyone. They have to register for those. Is there a limit on the numbers?
Yeah, that's right. There are certain workshops that they have limited availability of seats, so we encourage people to check our website and social media accounts so that they can pre-register on time to the workshops that they need to do. So there are, of course, activities that they are open to all. It's important to say that all of the activities will take place at the Akrotiri Environmental Education Center.
Okay, and
Yeah.
we're running out of time, so we have to wrap this up. But the cost is free. It's just that people could go to birdlifecyprus.org to find the details and register for any workshops, because I presume the numbers are limited. I'm sure it's going to be fabulous. I hope the weather's kind to you, Christia. Many thanks for telling us all about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Christia Alexandrou from BirdLife Cyprus. Well, that about wraps up this edition of the Cyprus News Digest. Many thanks for your company. Hope you'll join me next week. Till we meet again, take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.